Chapter 1. The door is open. The door is open. Like the empty seat at the table, it has no boundaries, yet it's right in this place, ever profound and clear. When you seek to know it, you cannot see it. You cannot take hold of it, but you cannot lose it. In not being able to get it, you get it. When you are silent, it speaks. When you speak, it is silent. The great gate is wide open, and no crowd is blocking the way. A few fundamentals first. Beyond Range is not a theology of poker. It is closer to a religion of it, and a religion without theology is a unique thing. All schools of poker thought have a theology. They are built around the concept of the right play, the way Christianity is built around the concept of God. They have sacred texts. They have prophets. They have orthodoxies. Modern poker has a particularly aggressive theology. The solver is God, the output is gospel, the deviation is sin. Beyond Range has no such theology. The right play is not somewhere outside of you, encoded in a chart waiting to be consulted. The right play is hidden inside you as a potentiality. You are carrying it. The work is not to find an external authority that hands you the right play. The work is to find what is already in you. This is the first thing to understand. Let it sink deep, and then things will become clear. The right play is not extrinsic to you. It is intrinsic. It is not over there in the solver output. It is here, in the seat, in this hand, in the moment you are sitting in. There is no there. All is here. The right play is not later when you have studied more. The right play is now. There is no other moment. If you cannot see it, that does not mean it is not available. It simply means you do not have the vision to see it yet. The right play has not to be searched for in some external text. You have only to open your eyes. The right play is already the case. Prayer to the solver is irrelevant. And to whom would you pray? The solver is not sitting somewhere in the heavens, controlling the game. There is no controller. The game is moving on its own, in harmony with itself. There is nobody outside it issuing commandments. When there is an outside authority, it creates a kind of slavery. The player who consults the solver in every spot becomes a slave. They lose their dignity. They can be at most a servant or a follower. They have given up their own seeing. Beyond Range gives the player back their dignity. There is no authority in the game. Freedom is utter and ultimate. Many great players over the years have stumbled on this and gone half mad. They sensed that there was no correct play that existed independent of the player, and the implication was too disturbing for them. They had been brought up in a narrow world, very confined in concepts. The discovery that the player is free, that the game has no external authority, was too much for the modern poker mind to bear. Some quit. Some chased ever more elaborate solver work to reconstruct the lost authority. Some developed strange superstitions to fill the void. Had they known the older traditions, they might have become real players rather than going mad. There was no need for the breakdown. The freedom was the point. One can be religious about poker without a theology. In fact, how can one be religious with a theology? That is the question that has to be asked. The solver as God will destroy your freedom. It will dominate you. It will say in effect, I am a very jealous God, and I cannot tolerate any other reading. Those who are not with me are against me. I will punish you with downswings. How can a player bloom under that? Without freedom there is no flowering. How can you come to your own seeing when there is a chart confining you, condemning you, manipulating you? When there is no solver God, there is tremendous freedom, and from that freedom arises great responsibility. If you are dominated by an external authority, you cannot feel truly responsible. Authority creates irresponsibility. Authority creates resistance. Authority creates rebellion. Eventually you want to kill the God. That is what burned out solver players do. They are murdering the God they once worshipped. The God has to be murdered. With the God there is no possibility to be free, only without the God. But to live without the God needs courage. To live without the God needs awareness. That is where most players cannot follow. They sense the freedom but cannot tolerate the responsibility. They run back to the solver, the chart, the coach. They prefer the slavery to the dignity because the dignity asks too much of them. For beyond range it is an established truth. There is no external right play. You are responsible for your own play. There's nobody else to look to. You cannot throw off the responsibility onto the solver. If you played badly tonight, you are responsible. There is nobody else. When there is no God, you are thrown back to yourself. Growth happens. You have to grow. You have to take hold of your play. You have to take the reins in your own hands. Now you are the player. You have to be more alert, more aware, because for whatever happens at the table, you will be responsible. This is heavy. It is also liberating. Nobody can carry the freedom for you, and nobody is going to. You become more watchful. You become a witness. You become the player you were always going to become if you had stopped looking for the right play in someone else's notes. So the first fundamental, beyond range is not a theology, it is a religion, and that too with a tremendous difference. It is not a religion like solver poker, with its sacred output and its priesthood. Beyond range has no God, no book, no prophet. The whole game is the message. Every hand is the gospel. Every opponent is the teacher. There is no messenger separate from the message. All that nonsense has been dropped. Theology arises with one book, one fixed text. It needs a Bible. It needs a sacred output. It needs something that pretends to be the truth, that says, this is the way, all other ways are wrong. Beyond range says every hand is the way. Every situation is the truth. So how can any one chart be special? All hands are special. Each hand is unique, holy in its own configuration. It is not that this solver output is sacred. When a player makes a real decision in a real moment, that decision is sacred too. There is an old story about a Zen master named Bokuju. He was asked what his daily practice was. He said, "How wondrous, how mysterious. I carry water, I chop wood." That was his entire reply. Carrying water, chopping wood, and he called it wondrous and mysterious. This is the spirit. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. The profane becomes sacred. The everyday hand of poker, the one you might dismiss as routine, is the place where the practice happens. The drop in the level of the action, where most players go on autopilot, is where the real work begins. Bokuju did not become great by escaping the daily work. He became great by treating the daily work as the work. The poker version of this is treating every hand as the hand. The 1,000th hand of an ordinary session against an ordinary opponent in an ordinary spot is not less than the final table of a tournament. It is the same thing. The seriousness of the practice is in the attention you bring to it, not in the size of the moment. This is what separates beyond range from a theology. A theology contaminates the religion. There's no real difference between players when it comes to the religion of the game. Every serious player is doing the same essential thing, sitting at the same essential table, being shown the same essential things by the cards. But there is a great difference when it comes to theology. They have different theologies. People have been fighting because of theology, right, about ranges, about sizings, about lines, for as long as poker theory has existed. They have been fighting about the menu while the food sits in front of them growing cold. Religion is one. Theologies are many. Theology means the philosophy about the game, the logic about the game, the arguing about the game. It is all meaningless because there is no way to prove the right play in advance. There's no way to disprove it either. Argumentation is irrelevant. One can experience, but one cannot prove. That is what theology goes on doing, logic chopping. When you look at it from a distance, you laugh. So much energy spent on so little. A real player has no theology. They have the experience. They have the truth of the moment. They have the luminosity, but no theology. The theology has been useful only to the priests. the coaches selling courses, the content creators who must keep producing. It has been their business. Their business depends on the theology being elaborate, mysterious, ever expanding. If players ever caught on that the religion does not need the theology, the priests would be out of work. Beyond Range cuts the root of that business. It says, the menu is not the food. Don't eat the menu. The chart is not the play. Don't memorize the chart and call it playing. This is offensive to the modern poker priesthood, and it should be. They have been selling the menu for so long that they have forgotten the food exists. In Japanese, there is a word for the quality the older traditions point at, konomama, the thisness of things, the this here nowness, the isness of what is in front of you. It is not that the right play is. It is that the very isness of the moment is the right play. The isness of this hand. The isness of this opponent. The isness of your own state right now. This is undefinable. You cannot pinpoint it logically. You cannot put it in a chart. You can dissolve into it. You can taste it. As Bokuju said, you can find it wondrous and mysterious, but you cannot reduce it. The chart is not the food. The solver output is not the food. The hand, the actual hand, is the food. Sit down and eat. The second fundamental. Beyond Range is not philosophy, it is poetry. It does not propose, it persuades. It does not argue, it sings its own song. It is aesthetic to the very core, not ascetic. It does not believe in being arrogant or aggressive toward the game. It believes in love. It believes that if you participate with the game reveals its secrets to you. It creates a participatory consciousness. It is poetry. It is pure poetry, just as it is pure religion of the practice. Beyond Range is concerned with beauty more than with proof. Why? Because proof is dry. People who become too concerned with proof become dry too. They start dying slowly as players. Their love of the game shrinks. Their juices stop flowing. They become loveless. They stop being able to find anything interesting at the table because everything they see has already been categorized and dismissed. Poetry is more total. Poetry has flow. Poetry includes the body, the heart, the gut, the feet, not only the head. The head has its place, but Beyond Range does not let the head dominate. It lets the head function alongside the rest of the player. The intuition that sees the bluff from the way the opponent stacks their chips, the gut that knows it is time to make the call, the body that registers the energy at the table before the mind has caught up, all of these are part of the play. The strict rationalist player is operating with one organ while pretending the others do not exist. There is a Zen master, Nansen, who once cut a cat in half in front of his students. The story sounds violent and strange, and it is meant to. The students were arguing about the cat. To whom did it belong? Was it permitted in the monastery? What should be done about it? They were doing what philosophers do. They were arguing about the cat instead of seeing the cat. So the master cut the cat in half. He was saying, while you are arguing, the living thing dies. The poker version of this story plays out every day. Players are arguing about the right line. Should you check or bet? Should you raise or flat? What is the GTO frequency? While they argue, the hand is over. The opponent has folded or called or shoved. The decision has been made by someone, and that someone was either you or your opponent. The arguing players have lost the cat. The poetry in Beyond Range is this. Stop arguing about the cat. See the cat. Do something with the cat. The cat is not waiting for you to finish your analysis. There is a concept that scientists and architects sometimes use, the synergetic dividend. The idea is that an organism is more than the sum of its parts. A clock has hands and gears and a face, but disassemble it and the tick disappears. The tick is not in any single part. The tick is in the whole working together. The tick is what is lost when you take the clock apart to study it. You are a clock. The tick is your play. Disassemble yourself into your study, your charts, your concepts, your reads, your bankroll, your physical state, your emotional state, and the tick disappears. The tick was in the whole working together. You can study the parts forever and never recover the tick by reassembling them in your head. The tick comes only when the whole is functioning as a whole. This is why some players who know less can play better than players who know more. The lesser player has a working tick. The greater player has disassembled the clock to look for it, and now the parts lie scattered on the table, none of them ticking. Beyond Range tries to keep the clock together. It tries to keep the player whole. It does not pretend the parts do not exist. The study, the charts, the concepts are real and useful, but it refuses to mistake them for the player. The player is the whole, in motion, and the motion is the tick. The third fundamental. Beyond Range is not a science. It is a magic. Not the magic of stage tricks. The magic of preserved mystery. The magic of looking into the game as a living thing rather than a problem to be solved. Science is the project of dissolving mystery. It is the project of turning everything into known causes and known effects. This is its strength in physics. This has been a disaster in poker, where the project of total dissolution has produced thousands of joyless grinders, technically competent and spiritually exhausted, who cannot remember what drew them to the game. The mystery does not need to be solved. The mystery is what makes the game worth playing for 40 years. If the game were fully solved, it would be checkers. Nobody plays checkers for 40 years. Beyond Range preserves the mystery on purpose. It says, there is a depth here that is not going to be exhausted by your study. There is a strangeness here that is not a flaw. The strangeness is the gift. The player who can sit in the strangeness without panic is the player who plays well over a long career. The player who cannot sit in the strangeness, who must reduce every situation to a known formula, becomes brittle. They break the first time the formula fails. The masters all know this, even if they cannot say it. Watch them. They are comfortable in the strange. They make decisions without forcing the situation into a familiar template. They allow the moment to be what it is. You can move toward this. The movement is not toward more knowledge. It is toward more trust. Trust that what you have absorbed will be available when you need it. Trust that the moment will reveal what is required. Trust that the mystery is friendly, not hostile. This is the magic. It is not supernatural. It is the magic of a player who has stopped fighting the game and started moving with it. The fourth fundamental. Beyond Range is not a code of morality. It is an aesthetics. It does not impose commandments. It does not say do this, do not do that. It does not give you a rule book. It does not put a judge inside you. It simply makes you more sensitive to the actual texture of what is happening, and that sensitivity becomes its own guide. The right play arises from the seeing, not from the rule. Most poker advice eventually slides into morality. There are good players and bad players. There are correct plays and mistakes. There are disciplined players and tilted players. There are the saved and the damned. This framing creates an inner judge that follows you to the table. Every decision becomes a referendum on your worth as a player. Every bad result becomes evidence that you are bad. Every good result becomes evidence that you are good. The play becomes a constant trial. You cannot play well from inside that trial. The judge interrupts every decision. The interruption is the leak. Beyond Range is more interested in awareness than in rules. It is interested in what you are actually doing, not what you should be doing. The shift is subtle and enormous. When you stop trying to be the kind of player who would not have made that mistake and you simply look at what you actually did, the leak begins to reveal itself. From that seeing, change can come. From the judging, only repetition. A rule book tells you what to do. Awareness shows you what is. They are different organs. Most players have spent a lifetime developing the rulebook organ and have never developed the awareness organ. Then they wonder why their play does not improve, no matter how many rules they add. The answer is that the rulebook is not the place where improvement actually happens. These are the fundamentals. Now, the sutra. Like the empty seat at the table, it has no boundaries, yet it's right in this place, ever profound and clear. If you start looking for the right play, you will never find it. If you start searching and you become very serious, you will never find it. Where will you find it? It is not somewhere. It is everywhere. And that which is everywhere cannot be searched for. You cannot locate it. You cannot say it is in the chart. You cannot say it is in the hand history. You cannot say it is in the river. It is in all of these and none of them. It has no boundaries, so it cannot be defined. You cannot say where it begins and where it ends. It is the whole game in this moment, and yet it's right in this place, right in front of you. If you are relaxed, it's there. If you become tense, it disappears. There's an old saying, "It is so clear that it's hard to see. A fool searched for fire while carrying a lighted lantern. Had he known what fire was, he could have cooked his rice much sooner." You are the fool with the lantern. You are searching for the right play with the right play in your hand. You have been hungry for years and you have been holding the fire all along. People go on asking where the right play is, and it is just in front of them. It surrounds them. It is in and it is out. The cards have been showing it to you the whole time. Your opponent has been showing it. Your own state has been showing it. You have been busy looking for it elsewhere, in the solver, in the coach, in the next book. When you seek to know it, you cannot see it. Why? Because the very seeking is a tense state. You become narrow. You become focused in the wrong way. You become concentrated. And what you can see while concentrated is small. The right play is large. The right play is the whole moment. You cannot see the whole moment with a focused beam. This is one of the great misunderstandings of modern poker. There are thousands of pieces of advice that say, in effect, concentrate harder, focus on the opponent, focus on the math, focus on the spot. Concentrate, concentrate, concentrate. This is fine if you're searching for a small thing. Concentration is good for an ant. If you're looking for an ant, concentration is the right tool. But the right play is not an ant. The right play is the whole moment, including the opponent, the table, the dynamics, your own state, the trajectory of the session, the energy of the room. For something that large, you do not need a flashlight. You need a lamp. A flashlight illuminates a narrow beam. A lamp illuminates a whole room. In a room you can see things from many angles. You can see what is on the floor and what is on the ceiling. You can see what is behind you. With a flashlight you only see what you have already chosen to look at. Concentration is the flashlight. Awareness is the lamp. The player who concentrates sees only what they were looking for. The player who is aware sees what is actually there. These are very different abilities, and most players have never developed the second one because they were too busy training the first. Beyond range is the training of the lamp. You cannot take hold of it, but you cannot lose it. See the beauty of this. You cannot take hold of the right play. You cannot possess it. The right play is not a thing you can grab and put in your pocket and bring to the next session. This is one of the foolish things players keep trying to do. They want to possess. They want to lock in the read, the line, the strategy so it will keep working forever. But the moment they lock it in, it dies. The read becomes outdated by the next orbit. The line becomes predictable to the table. The strategy stops fitting the new dynamic. A great Sufi mystic was visited by a student who kept knocking day after day on a door that was already open. The student would knock and call out, "I have been knocking, I have been knocking, why has it not opened to me?" Eventually the mystic said to him, "Look, the door is open. It has been open the whole time. You are too busy knocking to notice you are already inside." This is the situation of every player who's trying to possess the right play. They are knocking on a door that is open. They are demanding to be let into a room they are already standing in. The right play has been with them in every hand. They have just been too focused on the knocking to see the room. You cannot take hold of it, but you also cannot lose it. It is there. It is always there. If you become quiet enough, you will start to feel it. You have to fall in tune with it. You have to drop the rush, the hurry, the demands to get somewhere, and it appears you cannot lose it. It cannot be lost. Only your relationship to it can be lost. When you grasp, when you tighten, when you rush. The right play is patient. It will wait for you to stop knocking. The moment you understand that you cannot possess the right play, that you cannot lock it in, that you cannot grab it and bring it to every session, that is the moment it becomes available to you. The moment you give up the project of possessing the game, you can finally play it. The player who needs to win cannot win. The need is the grasp. The grasp narrows perception. Narrow perception produces worse decisions. Worse decisions produce losses. The losses intensify the need. The cycle tightens. The player who has stopped needing to win is the one who can win, not because they care less, but because they have released the grip that was strangling their seeing. They can take in the entire situation. They can be wrong without panic. They can be right without smugness. They can revise. They can adapt. They are alive in the moment in a way the desperate player cannot be. This is not a pretty idea. It is the central practical lesson of the long path. Players who never learn it remain stuck regardless of how much they study. Players who learn it advance regardless of how little they have studied. You can verify this for yourself. The next time you sit down for a session, notice the quality of your grip. How tight is your need to win this session? How attached are you to the story that this is the night you turn it around? The tighter the grip, the worse the play. Without exception, you can almost predict your results from the quality of your grip alone. The work is not to try harder. The work is to release. When you are silent, it speaks. When you speak, it is silent. You cannot both be talking. When the inner monologue is running, analyzing every action, narrating every decision, second-guessing every move, the game cannot speak to you. You are too loud to hear it. When you fall silent, the game starts speaking. The opponent who was a mystery becomes legible. The bet sizing that seemed strange suddenly makes sense. The dynamic at the table that had been invisible reveals itself. The information was there the whole time. You were just talking over it. Most players have never experienced sustained silence at the table. They are always talking to themselves, always running commentary, always rehearsing the next move while the current one is still happening. They have no idea what the game would say to them if they stopped. The silence is not blankness. It is not stupor. It is alert quietness, listening without commenting, watching without immediately interpreting, being present without filling the present with your own noise. In this silence the game speaks, not in words, in patterns, in feelings, in subtle recognitions. The right play arrives without your having to grind it out. It arrives because you are finally quiet enough to receive it. The great gate is wide open and no crowd is blocking the way. There is no competition. There is no rush. There is nobody standing between you and the right play. There is no scarcity of moments. The game does not run out. There is always another hand, another session, another year. You do not need to grab desperately at this moment because you are afraid the next one will not come. This is the deepest reassurance the older traditions offer. There's no shortage of the thing you're seeking. The seat is open. The cards keep coming. The work is patient. You can relax. This is the entire message. The whole text reduces to one word, said over and over: relax, relax, relax. If you relax, the right play comes. If you relax, the seeing arrives. If you relax, the game becomes legible. There is no other technique. There is no other secret. The seriousness of the modern poker mind has manufactured 1,000 techniques to avoid this one teaching, because this one teaching feels too simple to be true, but it is true. It is the only thing that is true. The state every serious player is unconsciously trying to reach is the state of release. They just do not know it. They think they are trying to reach a higher level of play, by which they mean a more complete grasp. The actual higher level is the opposite of grasp. The complete grasp would be a perfect cage. What they want, without yet knowing it, is the open hand. The last fundamental. The game is supposed to be played with humor. This may be the most forgotten fundamental of all. In the corporate poker world, the game has become a job, a grim project, a high-stakes audit performed under fluorescent lights. The players who are most respected are often the most joyless. They have confused their grimness for seriousness. They think the absence of laughter is a sign of professionalism. But the great players, the ones who lasted, were almost all light. They joked at the table. They needled, they smiled, they laughed at their own bad beats, they laughed at the absurdity of the whole enterprise. They were not faking the lightness as a strategy. They were actually amused by what they were doing. The lightness is part of how they got to where they are. The lightness is part of how they stayed. The grim grinders mistake their grimness for seriousness about the work. The masters know the grimness is what is preventing the work from being good. There is an old story. A Zen master died and his students were inconsolable. They had expected him to leave them with some final wisdom, some great teaching that would carry them forward. As he was dying, one of them leaned in and asked, "Master, what is the truth?" The master opened his eyes and said, "I do not want to die." Then he died. The students argued for years about what this meant. Some thought it was a profound teaching about the truth of attachment. Some thought it was a koan beyond their understanding. Some thought it was the master's final Dharma transmission. It was none of these. It was just the truth. The master dying did not want to die. That was the truth of the moment. He gave it to them with his last breath. They could not see it, because they were waiting for something more elaborate. Players spend their entire careers waiting for something more elaborate than the truth in front of them, the hand they are looking at, the player across from them, the state of their own body and mind right now. This is the truth. It has always been the truth. The seeking elsewhere is what has been keeping them from it. You can stop seeking. You have been knocking. You can stop now. The door has been open. It has always been open. You only have to look at where you are actually standing and walk through. This is Chapter 1. The rest of this book will explore these themes in different rooms and from different angles. Each chapter is its own door. Each chapter is its own moment of seeing. None of them will give you the answer you are still secretly hoping for, the master technique that solves the game for you. There is no such technique. What there is instead is the slow lifting of the veil that has been between you and the game. The lifting cannot be hurried, it cannot be forced, it cannot be optimized. It can only be allowed by a player who has begun to release the grip that was holding the veil in place. Continue.